There's been a murder. Did somebody say crime? What? There's been a murder. By numbers, in Murder by Numbers, a fun little puzzle visual novel game that sees you solve a variety of crime-based activities all through the power of Picross. And by a variety of crimes, I mean pretty much exclusively murder. But you're just an actor, Honor Mizrahi, who literally has just been fired from your job. How are you going to end up solving any of these various murders? Well, say hello to Puzzlebot. Beep boop. Yes, through one way or another you befriend the adorable Scout, a flying robot whose advanced computer brain can detect all manner of important and interesting objects, loosely related to a murder. I found some evidence. Cool, show it to me. No, this is how I see the world. Can't you just, use your robot arms to literally pick it up and show it to me? Beep boop. Fine. There, I've done it. Now show me what you've got. A knife. No! But yes, with every great power comes a great weakness, and sadly, Scouts is that they can exclusively see the world in the form of nonogram or Picross puzzles. And goodness, they're great. Well, I mean, they're literally just nonograms, but also nonograms are really fun. For the uninitiated, you're presented with a grid flanked by numbers. By looking at these numbers, you will know that in one row, there will be an unbroken chain of 3, and then at another point, another chain of 3. Meanwhile, this column will contain lots of individual 1s, and by using all of this information, you'll slowly be able to piece together an image that will hopefully be useful. In this case, it's an air vent that you can already see with your human eyes. Puzzlebot. Beep boop. You might think that, well, the only way you can ever identify any object given to you is being through the medium of Picross to be, well, difficult and a bit of a challenge. Well, let me tell you something. It's rad as heck, if you like puzzles. And I love puzzles. Also, the game has this wonderful learning curve to the game, as it really eases you into the wonders of Picross with some nice easy puzzles, as well as explaining how Picross works. But before you know it, you're thrown head first into the deep depths of what Picross could be, as you're given these incredibly difficult puzzles to just slowly pick away at. I see. If this is an 8, and I know this bit, then if I just count down, 1, 2, 3, 4, then I know that there definitely can't be one here. Whew, I am smashing this puzzle. But we're not just here to solve puzzles. We're not? No, we're also here to solve murder, as well as a variety of other nefarious events that might be happening on in the background. If you've ever played a Phoenix Wright game, or even brushed shoulders with a passing lawyer, you'll understand the premise here. A crime takes place, the crime being murderification, and you as the protagonist have no option but to solve the entire crime yourself, gathering your own evidence, investigating each witness and crime scene in what is almost definitely a terrible breach of any and every protocol, and then finally accusing one individual who may have gone and done the murder. I'm sure every jury will accept evidence presented by a now unemployed actor. But in your endeavouring quest for justice, you'll come across a number of wacky and interesting characters that would not be amiss in any attorney action game, each with their own potentially puntastic name. Detective Cross. It's funny because he's always angry at me for basically breaking the law. These visual novel segments act to sort of break up the general puzzling you'll be doing, but have the odd sniffle of puzzle here and there as well. You'll be talking to various characters and presenting them with any and every old bit of evidence you've managed to pick up off the floor. You'll slowly piece together a multitude of motives and maybe even work out a couple of things for yourself. But at the same time, you'll be feverishly hunting for any stray puzzle in every room you can possibly find, hungry to uncover more numerical treats to solve, scouring every corner of any scene. Yes, yes. It's probably weird that this is the ladies' bathroom. That said, your lust for puzzles could possibly get out of hand when you begin to forego human interaction in favour of your latest puzzle hunt. Right, we've got the victim's wife in the next room and she's pretty shaken up about everything, so just play it cool, okay? Where are the puzzles? I know they're in here somewhere. Are they over here? You can't hide them from me. I can smell them. What about my husband? Shh. Puzzles. Maybe this is why Detective Cross hates us so much. That said, while the characters are fun and quirky, the actual mysteries at play can sometimes be a little lacking. There is something to say about how most of the visual novel aspects are quite linear, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but if you were looking for a little more sleuthing in your game, you might find yourself wanting here. But otherwise, you have a pretty compelling story that pulls you through a logic path with silly characters and a lot of puzzling. Even if most of the murders are quite obvious from the get-go, as characters will say things along the lines of, "Ho ho ho, imagine that I were able to see them one fatal time? I mean, final time, to see them take their last breath of poison," and then you're left wondering who could have possibly gone and done the murder. But outside of each case's main story, the murders, there is also an overarching story throughout the entire game, which is primarily centered around Honor, just, you know, trying to find herself in the world and unwrap various amounts of trauma and just really working out what's going on in her life. And it's good. The game presents you with a number of characters who are all pretty much just scumbags, and getting to watch the main character just tell them to do one is great. Plus, you've got your own little robot boy, puzzle bot, and you're trying to just work out their origin as they become more and more of a real person. I've developed a new emotion. Oh, cool, show it to me. As ever with many a Picross, you will forget that you're actually making a shape of an actual object known to humans, as you get bogged down with each individual square, and only when you take a look at the broader picture do you still really have no idea at all. Oh, a stapler. Sure. But there's also something good about the general freedom of murder by numbers' puzzle-solving antics. You're not immediately slapped on the wrist for placing an incorrect mark down, which is good, as you'll do that a lot due to the game's predilection for not filling things in a straight line. But this also means that further down the puzzle, you can begin to realise some mistakes you've made, and then maybe take a crude hammer to things and knock out a few odd bits and pieces for a delicious solution. Murder by Numbers is just a nifty game. It presents to you this wonderfully bright world, the 90s, and fills it with interesting characters and murder, and it's just this delightful story, all wrapped in a swaddle of puzzle. And sure, the mysteries aren't necessarily groundbreaking, and also some of the visual novel aspects really kind of mainly operate as some sort of vehicle for presenting you that delicious puzzle stew, but at the same time, it's quite fun. And while the Picross puzzles are just kind of there, like, it never feels like the game uses the full strength of Picross, where there are no like big multi-panel Picross puzzles where they all slowly builds up to make like the face of whodunit or something, it is still fun. There are a number of side Picross puzzles as well that you can unlock as you play the game, and you'll definitely, almost certainly find yourself plugging away at these one after another like some sort of grand Picross detective. Until, that is, you realise it's 2 AM and you have work in the morning, and your work is not being, well, some grand Picross detective. So, while Murder by Numbers may not necessarily excel in both aspects of its personality, they do still combine into a very fun experience. And if you're just looking for a happy-go-lucky tale about death, murder, self-actualization, and puzzles, then Murder by Numbers is literally that, and it's really quite good and fun. Right, Puzzlebot? I found another piece of evidence. Puzzlebot, what is this? Evidence? Give it to me in the form of a puzzle. Puzzlebot? Yes, puzzles. Puzzles. Hello, and thank you for watching my video all about Murder by Numbers. It was a nice little look at a, quite frankly, fun little indie game. I may slightly go insane, what with wearing a box on my head. Anyway, if you want, feel free to check out some of my other videos. They're not so much about puzzles, but they are possibly about board games, which are basically big puzzles for adults. There's one here, which is about Dinosaur World. It's a really big board game about dinosaurs. Or there's one down here, which is about Dinosaur Island Roar and Rate, which, if anything, is an even better board game puzzle about dinosaurs. Wow. Otherwise, you can just click on my face where there should be a face orb to subscribe, or you just let me know how you feel about Murder by Numbers, a fun game about murder and numbers. Thank you, and goodbye.